was a lot of positives to take from the club's recent game against Keighley at the weekend, especially a very strong showing and positive performance in the first half.
Yeah, definitely, Mick. We had a great mix of players in there. 4 or 5 first team players. Then we also had a mix of top end reserve players. Sam Ackroyd, Jacob Bateman, Harry Gray, George Rayner, just to name a few. But then a good mix of young players. Freddie Butler, Alfie Leake were in there, Cameron Bate, and they all impressed, to be fair. I think, like I said, we're a good performance across the board. I think maybe the last 10-15 physicality did show in the end, but overall happy with the performance.
No secret, there was harsh words from Jake Webster and Keighley at half time. You saw that reaction in that second half, and as you've kind of said, the last 10-15 minutes, I think there were 4 tries scored and the scoreboard and the game ultimately blew away. But what's the overriding feeling? What are the positives you feel that those young players will take from that experience?
Oh, it'd be a massive learning curve from, to be honest, Mick. I said before the game that it'd be probably the biggest game they've played in. Just obviously the turning up to the game, obviously it's a proper stadium, a pretty old stadium, traditional rugby league ground as well, which they won't have had a taste of that before. Just the music before the game and that atmosphere, and I think they soaked it up well. So it'd be definitely a learning curve for them, and it will stand them in good stead. Like I said, they should be real proud of their efforts.
In that first half, there was good connectivity, continuity, certainly in that spine of George Rayner, Finlay Ballback and Sam Ackroyd.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I'd like to praise the middles in that as well. I think Nathan Mason, in his first 20-minute spell, he really set the tone. On the back of that, Harry Gray, Jacob Bateman, Jamie Gill complemented each other in that first half, which was really positive. But no, just going back to the spine, I thought Sam Ackroyd, he were outstanding. He really controlled the game. And Sam, probably over the past 12 months, I won't say struggled, but I feel like he's learned from having a pre-season with the first team. I can see a different player. Very organised. His high note finishes were good. He got to the end of the sets really well. Then just on Finn Ballback, I thought on the right hand side in attack he were good, nice and controlled, and George Rayner picked up things at the back as well, which were good.
A lot of people will look at the scoreboard 44-22, but I think the fact that Jake Webster and his coaching staff have had to have harsh words with his Keighley players at half time is a real credit to that performance in that first half.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, full credit to our players that played in the first half, and Jake will be disappointed because it was an inexperienced side to what Keighley had out on show, and to be going where I think it was 22-10 at half time on. He's going to be disappointed as a head coach, and he definitely got a reaction from his players, which obviously we felt that in the last 10 and 15. But overall, from our point, we got exactly what we wanted out of it. First game of pre-season for a lot of the boys. So like I say, we'll take that into the next coming weeks.
And with that Newcastle game, obviously postponed due to the adverse weather conditions, Bradford stepping in to replace Salford, how important was it for those young players to actually get a bit of freshness, fitness, get used to that physicality once again?
Oh, definitely. It were really good. And obviously credit to the club for jumping in at last minute, because obviously the logistics behind it, which we dealt with that, which were good. And I think for more Keighley's sake, really, I think they wanted the fixture, but we did as well. And definitely it'll benefit all as younger players, but I think as a whole it'll benefit the first team players who played Paposhia getting plenty of minutes, 70 minutes, Tyron up. He played probably 40 minutes, Nathan Mason, and that'll stand them in a good stead to get back and play in the first team. But it'll also give the players minutes to play. But it's not just that, I'll have some players who played in the game against Keighley, but they'll play for the academy against Salford. So it just shows as a club that we are in a strong position on the youth side of things. So we're heading in the right direction.
As head of talent and pathway, Jonathan, when you look at players like Jamie Gill, Jacob Bateman, Harry Gray, Alfie Leake, George Rayner, Sam Ackroyd, what you're looking at in terms of what's best for them? Because we know the reserve competition everybody fought tooth and nail for that to come back, and sadly a lot of clubs don't take it seriously, and we know the games are once every 3 weeks, which in my opinion doesn't really help the development of those players. So for those young hungry players who want to be playing week in, week out, we know they're not at that stage in their career where they're knocking on Brian Noble's door, but how do you get them from where they are now to knocking on Brian Noble's door, where Brian, if there is a suspension crisis or an injury list, God forbid that doesn't happen, you know, he can look at Jamie Gill, he can look at Sam Ackroyd, and potentially, as we saw with Jacob Bateman last year, have and make that first team debut.
Yeah, from my point, and also the assistant coaches in Brendan Sherrin and Nathan Graham and Jake Duxbury was on board. I think it's our job to get them ready, and Brian's pretty simple. He wants players that are ready to step up, because it is a total different level up to the first team. But no, that's our job to get them ready. But then, like you say, Mickey, you're correct. Is the reserve competition is inconsistent and is a bit of a mix. You can see now there's clubs sending players out on loan and dual registration. But we've got to do what's best for the player in terms of development. If we keep him in the reserves, which obviously we'll look after ourselves first as a club, but if we feel it's right for the player from a development point of view to maybe go on loan to the League One side and can add to that, it's potentially something we'll look at. But also from a player's point of view, we've got to understand that they have got to be ready to play at that level consistently week out, because it is a different step up from playing reserves into League One, which we did see that at times against Keighley. Obviously the fitness levels, and obviously the staying in the game for 80 minutes. Like I said, the last 10, 15, 20 minutes we didn't really play for 80 minutes. So it's up to ourselves to making sure our players are ready to play at that level.
The club have just announced a dual reg agreement with the Dewsbury Rams. How do you see that working to benefit both Bradford and the Dewsbury Rams?
Oh, massively. I had a quick chat with Ryan Unkin about it in the office earlier. I think from a club point, obviously we can send our players out who we think are ready, but not just the reserve ones that you've mentioned, like George Rayner, Sam Ackroyd, Jamie Gill, Jacob Bateman, but also probably the players that aren't playing in the first team squad, like who played against Keighley, because all the players want to play. But then potentially looking at Dewsbury, if our reserve side, if we need players, maybe Paul March might think I could send some players from Dewsbury squad to play for Bradford reserves. I think if we are dual regging, it needs to be done correctly. There's plenty of ways in which it can work, but I'm sure it'll benefit both clubs.
And how pleased are you? Obviously, you look at the first team. There's a fierce competition for places. As you go down throughout the club, that effectively mirrors itself. Yeah, that there is that competition for places in the reserves, then the academy, even down to the scholarship.
Yeah, definitely. It creates competition within the club, and I'm sure if someone feels if they're playing well, they will get the opportunity. Like I say, we need to create that competition and be competitive, and we're getting that in training. And when the games start, we'll start to see more of that now. But you're right, Mick. We've definitely got a good pool of talent. And like I say, it's just obviously how we use them and making sure people understanding the roles as well.
This game against Dewsbury on Sunday, can the fans expect some of those young homegrown players and have a really exciting future in the game, getting some more minutes under the belt?
Yes, definitely. More people get minutes this weekend at Dewsbury, which will be good. So we just have to probably take it by ear with the squad. We obviously wait to speak to Brian and we agree with where we're at with that. But you know, it'll be a strong squad. Like I said, the top end reserve players, they are obviously quality players, and they feel like they're ready to play that level. So hopefully they'll show that again against Dewsbury. But then there were also some younger boys in there as well. Lewis Owens, Cameron Bate, like I've mentioned, Alfie Leake, who from his first game against Keighley, he's been on everyone's lips, which is real positive for the club. So it's just a matter about getting that opportunity. I do feel like going against a strong Dewsbury team will definitely benefit the younger boys and give them plenty of experience.